All right. Hello, everybody. My name is BluMagma. I will be running Pokemon Ruby any percent here for you all today. First run of the marathon. I have here with me my co-commentator, Mind of Damon, or Damon for short. You can introduce yourself if you want.
Hello, hello. My name is Damon. I'll be commentating this run. Super excited for this world debut of this new category in a marathon. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff we're going to share with y'all.
So yeah, this is the real first time that we have showed this off at a marathon. Oh, are we missing game audio? I see it on my OBS, but it might not be enabled on the stream. Just right off the bat, one thing you can maybe already notice is we have Latios flying on the intro screen rather than Latias in Sapphire.
Yeah, if you're used to Pokemon speedruns, you're probably not used to seeing Groudon on the cover screen.
Yep, we also see Groudon right here. Ginormous differences.
But yeah, we'll get into all that while we're playing on Ruby and that kind of stuff during the run.
Yep. Do I need to turn my audio up in the scene, Sidosh or anybody? How should I go about that? Okay. Sorry, I think sometimes my capture card gets a little weird with audio volume. Let me know how that sounds for you all. Better? What do we think? A little louder? I can do a little more if we want. Testing. Sound is good. All right, awesome. Thanks, y'all. All right. All right, so I'm gonna set my options and then I'll do a quick, or Damon, do you want to do a countdown for me and then we can go?
Sure. I don't get the right frame.
Yes, very important. All right, I'm ready whenever you are.
All right, if we're ready with the timer in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so we have the classic intro here. So I guess I can start off. We will be playing Pokemon Ruby, and we are going to complete the game as fast as possible using glitches, which is significant if you were here for the pre-show. The reason it's significant is that we're doing this on English. Originally, this was only known to be possible on the Japanese version of Ruby and Sapphire, but in the past few months, there's been a lot of renewed interest, I guess you could say, in Ruby Sapphire glitch hunting. And I would say probably a month ago, BluMagma here discovered that all of the glitches on Japanese are pretty much all possible on English in the same way. So this category literally just was put on the leaderboard like 2 weeks ago or something. So brand new route, brand new category. So yeah, exciting stuff in Ruby and Sapphire.
Yeah, so yeah, there's been a lot of development over the past couple months. Damon and I have been trying our best to push out an optimized route as fast as possible, with as many optimizations as possible, in a relatively small time frame. But we're pretty happy with what we've put together so far.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of potential for new things to be found We're learning a lot of new things every day.
Yeah, definitely. I want to give a quick shout out to Epic Dude Guy. He was pretty much the first person that ran this category on Japanese. And his run kind of got me interested in looking for more discoveries, things like that. And the route is similar to what he originally came up with, but has some pretty key differences about 40-ish minutes in, and yeah, we'll see that around there. But yeah, this is definitely not the end-all be-all of this category. Like we said, really only in the past few months have we seen a lot of interest building in this category. So there's definitely more to be discovered. I've been working a lot, Damon's been working a lot on just experimenting with new things, trying to find uses for different glitches and stuff like that. So there's definitely a lot to do.
Alright, so here we're doing something called RNG manipulation in hopes to get a runnable Mudkip. Might take a few tries here, but shouldn't be too bad. I guess while we do this, I'll give you do you need the quiet time to listen to your flow timer beeps?
No, you're okay. You can go ahead.
Sure. So yeah, RNG, for anyone who's not super familiar with it, it stands for random number generator. So computers in general are not very good at creating true randomness, so a lot of them will have different algorithms for generating randomness for humans. So the way that it works in this game is the game kind of runs at 60 frames per second. A few frames early there, probably. So yeah, the game runs at 60 frames per second. And the way I think of RNG is the game has a long list of really, really big numbers, just random numbers. And the game will read through them, and it'll read 60 of them in 1 second. And it'll constantly be reading these big numbers. So each of those random numbers will be used to calculate something random that happens in the game. Like if you take a step, will you get an encounter? If you throw a Pokeball, will it catch the Pokemon or will it break out? And RNG also is responsible for generating Pokemon stats. So what BluMagma is trying to do here is he's trying to press A on selecting Mudkip with 1/60th of a second precision to get the Mudkip with the correct stats that we need.
I keep hitting 1 frame early for some reason, so I'm gonna adjust my offset a little bit. Very kind of unlucky start here, but it happens. I am very consistent at being 1 frame early. There we go.
Nice. So if you're familiar with glitchless, Sapphire glitchless, you probably know that the Mudkip is a naughty Mudkip with like pretty much all of its stats, like 20 or 30s in its IVs. And then there's a 1 frame hasty, which can trick a lot of runners into thinking you got the right Mudkip, but you actually didn't. Fun fact for this category, the hasty Mudkip is perfectly runnable. It probably loses about like 20 seconds at worst, which is about the time it would take to reset for a new Mudkip. So the Manip is essentially a 2 frame window for this category.
Yeah, I would say if you get like good RNG with either the naughty or the hasty loses maybe 5 seconds. If you get bad RNG, the hasty starts to struggle a little bit, but I think top end both are viable.
Yeah. So right now we're doing what's called encounterless manip. I kind of talked about how RNG works before. It's a long list of random numbers. So there's a big cluster of frames that will allow you to get no encounters all the way to this first rival fight here. So what BluMagma did was he timed his input to close the text box and then reacted to the NPC movements walking around so he could figure out which path to take to get no encounters. So now we have the first rival fight. This fight could go bad, but generally it's pretty okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say I might regret not saving for this. Okay,
5 roll.
we're through.
I believe in naughty.
Okay, awesome.
Alright, we got the naughty, so off we go.
So for those of you that have seen the glitchless category of Ruby or Sapphire, things look pretty similar right now. But give us just a couple minutes and things will get a little bit different. We'll see a brand new RNG manip coming up pretty soon.
Yep. Yeah, the big glitch for the run doesn't really happen until around half an hour into the run. So we're going to be following, like you said, mainly the same route as glitchless with a few extra steps. Just some extra stuff we need for the glitch.
Yeah, the glitches take a decent bit of setup, so there are some things that we have to do in the early game to prepare for that.
Alright, we got our Pokeball, so we can now catch some Pokemon. We're going to heal here for this upcoming fight. And grab the running shoes so we can zoom around Hoenn. Thanks, Mom.
Yep, if you play the Fire Red Leaf Green Gen 3 games, you get the running shoes a lot later. I am a big fan of Hoenn personally, just because of how early you get the running shoes.
Why do they make you wait so long in that game?
You gotta work for it. Okay, also another thing, if you have played glitchless, you know that pretty much every fight in this game can kill you in one way or another. That's not exactly the case in glitched, which you'll see later, but the early game fights definitely still can. So just for the sake of the marathon, I'm going to save for a lot of these early game fights.
Yeah, the early game is by far the hardest part of this run. If you can make it out of early game, you can finish runs very, very consistently, but getting out of early game is still as much of an issue as it is in glitchless. Maybe even more of an issue. But yeah, after this fight, we're going to do a new RNG manipulation that we don't do in glitchless. So we're going to time our A-press so we continue the game. We're going to save and reset, and then time an A-press to continue the game to chain together 2 Zigzagoons.
This manip is pretty hard, so bear with me. Alright, first one already. Good job.
Very nice.
The second one is definitely the harder one, so let's see if we can get it here. Excellent. Well, maybe.
Very nice.
Nice.
Love to see it.
Okay, this is a tricky YOLO ball. It might break out. Very nice.
Nice. Awesome.
First try, double zig.
Yeah, it's tougher than you think, for sure. I'm not familiar with this new, updated version of this manip. Are you still using audio cues for the YOLO balls?
For the second Zigzagoon, yes.
For the second one, okay, yeah.
because you can get different Zigzagoons depending on what frame you hit, and you actually are able to tell the difference by the gender, and then you do a different audio cue timing based on which gender the Zigzagoon is. So it's a pretty cool chain manip.
Nice.
I haven't run Emerald, but it definitely reminds me of the Emerald chain manip a little bit.
Yeah, so now we have the Wally cutscene, so I guess we can talk a little bit about these Zigzagoons. So we get 2 Zigzagoons. One of the main reason that we get it is because we need to fill up our party to have at least 5 Pokemon in it to perform the glitch that we want to do. That's going to save us a bunch of time. But I will not spoil the second primary reason we choose Zigzagoon in particular. Cookies to anyone in chat who can guess why, who doesn't already know.
Yeah, we'll see that in about 5 minutes or so get your predictions in now if you want. Also coming up, just while we're sitting here watching this cutscene, is a Wingull manip. Similar to Glitchless, you get a Wingull for having a fly Pokemon. This, again, also serves the purpose of helping us fill our party, which is important, and helps in one of the fights in Roxanne's gym. However, it is harder than the Glitchless version, because the frame window is smaller. One weird quirk about this game is the RNG values that Damon mentioned earlier. They normally are only advancing by 1 value per frame, but when you hit a certain number of steps, the game is always keeping track of your step count, and when that hits a certain number, your RNG will advance based on the number of Pokemon currently in your party. Normally you would only have Mudkip here in Glitchless, but because we have 2 Zigzagoons as well, the manip is actually slightly different. Oh shoot. That ledge always gets you, dude.
Yeah, it's like magnetic, I swear.
Excellent. That should be frame 1.
Very nice. XDD.
And with all of these RNG manips, I'm not just kind of going based off of vibes. We have a timer in the background that helps me actually time my inputs. It would be a lot harder without that. I'm gonna save for this fight as well. This fight is very sketchy.
Notorious, not Aqua Pooch, but Magma Pooch.
Magma Pooch. First ever. Normally, all the runners are traumatized by Aqua Pooch, but in this game, it's Magma Pooch. So, we get a little bit of fresh air.
Yeah, this
it's
Poochyena
exactly
has...
the same fight, but yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. It has Tackle, Growl, and Sand Attack, and it takes 5 hits to kill, so you can imagine how much fun that is.
Or Howl, not Growl, but yeah.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Cool. Very nice crit there.
Nice.
Okay, that was actually a very
that
good
was
fight.
a very nice Magma Pooch.
Yep. Magma Pooch better.
It's just so free.
A 4-turn fight is very unlikely, so that was very likely. Or very lucky, sorry.
So yeah, we'll talk about it a little more later, but we're playing on Ruby because the whole crux of this run is to get to the big glitch as efficiently and as quickly as possible. And it's just easier to get to that point and faster when you're fighting Team Magma rather than Team Aqua, but we'll point out exactly where when we get there. So now we have Roxanne's Gym. This first fight is going to go pretty much the same as in Glitchless.
Yep.
This Wingull is going to help us out. We're going to swap to it and take out most of this Geodude's health with the water gun, and then switch back to finish it with Mudkip to get all the experience.
Yeah, this gym is definitely a big choke point of this route. There's a lot that can go wrong here.
Yeah, definitely.
With RNG and execution, which we'll see the execution in just a minute.
Wingull survived. He's so tough.
Very unlucky there, wastes a turn. It's not a super small chance, but a small chance that Wingull can live if the Geodude doesn't do much damage with either of his tackles.
Alright, so time's up for your guesses on why we caught some Zigzagoons. So we're going to have to do one more Manip coming up here that we don't do in Glitchless, and that is the rare candy Manip. So the way pickup works is, which is Zigzagoon's ability, is every time you win a battle, you have a 10% chance of proccing pickup, and then a 10% chance to get a rare candy. But those are horrible odds, so we're just going to manipulate it instead.
Yep.
We're going to use this upcoming trainer here. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah. Is very difficult. Arguably harder than Mudkip Manip. It is a... Well, I'll let you explain the details, but it is pretty tricky.
Yep. So whether or not pickup activates and the item that you do get, if it does activate, it depends on the frame that you exit a battle after you win. So we're going to have to time the entrance to this battle and then mash through it as fast as we can, and then also time the exit of the battle. So a funny thing that RNG does in this game, inside battles, is that it goes twice as fast. So before I said the game will read off 60 numbers off the list in 1 second. But when we say it goes twice as fast in battles, we don't mean it reads 120 numbers per second, but rather it'll skip every other one. God Gamer, by the way.
First try.
Let's go. So the way it works is that it will skip every other RNG value while in battle. So you can either enter the battle on an odd frame or an even frame. And depending on if you enter the battle on an odd frame or an even frame, it's either a 1 or a 2 frame window to get the candy. And there's no way to know which parity you're on. You just have to time the A press and hope for the best, and we got it first try.
Yep, so best case, that is a 2 frame window. Worst case, that is a 1 frame window. And it's also dependent on when you enter the battle, so there's a lot of components that go into that Manip.
Yep.
Oh, good miss there. I unfortunately did not get the God frame, as I like to call it, which is one of the 3 possible frames that give you a rare candy, but it also gives you a full restore, which is nice for later in the game, and can let you skip a full heal if you want to play a little risky.
Yeah, most of the pickup items are actually pretty useful for the run. Like Potion and Super Potion can be helpful for the Twins fight. A Vitamin will let you get money faster rather than selling multiple TMs. Full heal or a full restore, like Magma said, will let you skip a full heal or let you have an extra heal if you need it. And then another candy is also very useful. There's also the possibility of being able to skip the rare candy Manip. I think you have 2 fights before you do the candy Manip, so that adds up to about a 4% chance of getting a candy before that fight, and then you don't have to do the save and quit.
Yep, exactly. We call that the manip skip, which, yeah, as Damon said, is very unlikely, but lets you skip arguably the hardest manip in the run. So if you get it, you're in good shape.
Do you get it in your PB?
I think so, yeah.
I think Icy has also gotten it in a run before. So in Glitchless, usually you want to kill an encounter here for some extra experience. But our experience routing is a little different in this category, so we're just going to rappel through all the grass in the caves here, and we're going to get our experience somewhere else.
Yeah, a big experience route in Glitchless is evolving before Brawly, because Brawly is a very hard fight in Glitchless. In this game, we don't have to worry about that. Yeah, even as Marshtomp, it's hard. With just Mudkip, it's like kind of impossible. So we're going to...
And attack is unlucky.
Oh my gosh, okay. Oh, I did not save for this. This might be the worst fight I've ever seen. Okay, we're through.
Ooh, it's very scary.
We have Torrent now, at least.
Hey, nice.
But yeah, in this category, we're not worried about we're not worried about evolving before Brawly, so we can kind of skip some of that extra experience.
Yeah, again, we're just trying to go straight to the glitch, which lets us speed up the game just a little bit. It is also interesting to note that this category is very similar in time to Glitchless. It is faster, probably top in about 5 minutes, we're predicting. But it is very close to the Glitchless time. Unlucky quick spin.
Oh, I should have gone there. I had the right movement, but I hesitated. I didn't want to fight an optional on this run. Played it a little safe.
Yeah, for now we just got some more story stuff to get through. We saved this guy, so now we have to talk to this old man, and then he's gonna send us to another beach town to give a letter to someone. A lot of story mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, really just getting through the story, trying to get to Slateport as fast as possible. That's really the big variance of the run, is how fast can you do that. Which we'll see later. We should be there in less than 10 minutes, so not too much longer.
I think Glitchless does a shopping trip here, right?
Yes.
We're skipping that. We don't need that.
Yeah, one very nice thing about this route is you can skip so many shopping sections that you would normally have to do in Glitchless.
So this is a guy we don't fight in Glitchless, and this is where I mentioned before we're going to get our experience. So like we mentioned before in Glitchless, we just need a little bit of experience to get to Marshtomp before Brawly's gym. But I think there's also a gym trainer in there that helps you out with that, the Metatite girl, right?
Yes, you evolve before her, but
okay.
She gives you an extra level in the middle of the fight. Gotcha,
yeah. So yeah, this trainer that we just fought gives us a consistent experience that we need to level up to 16 to get Marshtomp by the time we need it in this run, and also gives us some necessary money we need to buy a lot of items coming up soon.
Yeah, so instead of kind of routing the XP to evolve before Brawly, we need to evolve before the twins, which is a little bit ominous, but I'll I'll keep that a secret for now.
The secret hidden boss of this category.
Yes, exactly.
Now we have one more RNG manipulation happening here for an Abra. Abra again is going to help us fill up our party and also let us teleport around so we can have some fast travel before we get fly.
It's also our Pokemon of choice for activating the glitch. And here we'll see something that you may not have seen if you're a active glitchless runner. For one, we nicknamed the Abra. But two, we get the escape rope, which we actually used to do until we found out that it's actually slower to escape the escape rope. Or it's about the same speed, actually. But there's really no reason to pick it up in glitchless. But in glitched, it will kind of fix our step count for the next section.
Yeah, we kind of mentioned before how rolling over your step count, so to speak, will advance the RNG based on how many Pokemon are in your party. So we want to make sure our step counter is in a good place, that it doesn't mess up, spoiler alert, a final RNG manip that's coming up. But yes, this category is very manip heavy.
Yeah, I would say if you enjoy the RNG manipulation and kind of the skill-based components, like the movement of these sorts of games, this run. But if you really don't like the RNG variation, this is a pretty good category for you. Just because really there's not much RNG once you get past the early game.
Alright, so coming up we have to do a little bit of a small side quest, I guess. We have to talk to one of the NPCs here in the city. And then we're off to the primary reason we play on Ruby, which is the museum. There's some grunts in the museum that you have to fight. And so in Ruby, they're going to be Team Magma grunts with Numel. If we were playing on Sapphire, we would have to fight the Carvanas instead as Mudkip, which is not as fast and not as fun.
I did get the shorter Abra path, so I am going to have to take 4 extra steps later on just to make my step count match for the minute. Yeah, the step count can roll over during the manip, which, yeah, can make things kind of messy. We haven't researched exactly how many steps will break the manip yet. It can work with 2 extra steps, for sure, but anything more or less than that, we haven't entirely finished researching yet. Alright, this Zubat is evil. We got pretty lucky here, though. We should be able to just 2-shot it. Normally, this is a very easy 2-shot in glitchless. In glitched, it's only a 2-shot if you have Torrent for both water guns. If you don't have Torrent, it's a 3-shot, and it can definitely spam Supersonic if you're unlucky.
Yeah, this is the main part where the hasty Mudkip really struggles, because despite being a plus speed nature, it's actually slower than the Zubat, because it has such a low speed IV.
Yep, you can really just get Confusion Looped being slower. You can also get Astonish flinched because you're slower.
Yep.
That
happened in my PB.
Yeah, that's really probably the main reason why Hasty is slightly worse than the Naughty for this category.
All right, so we're almost done with Marshtomp. And then we'll be moving on to New Horizons.
Yes, the glitch is almost here. I hope you all are ready. It really doesn't have like a big shebang like it might in Emerald, where you do some really cool stuff. But it is still pretty cool in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not the most spectacular thing.
Exactly.
So here's the big catalyst for the glitches. We're going to get this TM from this grunt here. The TM for Thief. And we're going to do a pretty important shopping trip.
Alright, so you may have questions about what we buy here. I promise it'll all make sense. Just bear with me.
Yeah, there's a lot to explain here, but a lot of downtime to explain it.
Yes.
And
yeah, your eyes did not deceive you. We did buy 81 harbor mails.
All right, so now we're going to head to the Twins, which we mentioned before, which is where we're going to activate the glitch. The reason we're fighting them is because it needs to be a double battle in order to do this glitch. So we're gonna equip some mail here. So I guess I can go into how this works. There's a lot to explain.
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. So yeah, mail is what kind of breaks this game open in the way that we can. So when you give a Pokemon a mail, which is this special item where you can like set phrases and, you know, make little messages to trade over to your friends, and they get the mail and it's like, oh, it says, you know, Slowpoke today or something like that. That's kind of what breaks open the game. So every time we give a Pokemon this mail, it's going to get a value between 0 and 5. So there's one value for every Pokemon in your party. So if you give one Pokemon a mail, it'll get a mail value of 0. And then the next one will get a mail value of 1, etc., 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 until your party is filled all the way up to 5. And then when you take away a mail, it's going to clear out that value, whatever mail value it has. So basically what we're doing with this glitch is we are going to remove the mail in an unintended way, so that when we take the mail away, it does not clear out that value. And we do that by using Thief on our own partner Pokemon in a double battle. So what that allows us to do is it allows us to fill up all of the party mail slots 0 to 5, even though we don't have mail equipped to every single Pokemon in the party. So right now, Marshtomp is holding mail. We're going to Thief it with Abra. So now Marshtomp is no longer holding the mail. But Marshtomp's mail value never got cleared out. So it's essentially, you can think of it as hoarding one of the mail values, even though it doesn't have mail anymore. And that allows us to do some funky stuff, having all of the mail values filled, but still being able to equip it.
Yep, you're not going to want to miss the mailbox here. Keep your eyes peeled for kind of a funny quirk. There it goes. And just like that, it's gone. But that is one of the catalysts for this glitch.
So that glitch mail in the mailbox kind of does a similar thing. I'm a little bit fuzzy on the details about how that part of it works, but it essentially takes up another mail slot. So we can have the game think we have 6 mails equipped, but in reality we only have 4. And this is the big crux of the glitch, is we're going to be able to duplicate rare candies. So we give Abra here a rare candy that we manip before in Roxanne's gym, and we are going to try and switch that rare candy with another male. So what happens when you switch an item in the game? There are two separate processes that happen. The first process is that it'll up the count of whatever item you're taking back in the bag by 1, and then it'll decrease the count of whatever item you're giving by 1 in the bag. And then, separately from that, it's going to overwrite the old item on the Pokemon with the new item. So we are going to attempt to switch out a rare candy for a male, but all of the male slots in the party are already filled up. So the first part of the item switch still happens. We're still upping our rare candy count by 1 and decreasing our male count by 1, but we're never actually overriding that rare candy because all of our male slots are filled up. And with that, we can essentially turn all of the males into rare candies. And we're going to go all the way to level 100.
But not with the Pokemon you might think. It is not in our party at the moment, so stay tuned. A little spoiler, we do actually encounter it in Slateport, but you might be thinking, there's no grass in Slateport, how can we get an encounter? Well, you will see once we finish mashing through these rare candies. So we got a little bit of downtime here.
Yeah, a little bit of downtime.
Take a bathroom break if you want, grab some snacks. We'll be moving on to the Minip in a couple minutes. The reason that the glitched mail in the mailbox kind of works, it does a very similar thing to thiefing the mail in the battle, where it fills a mail slot but then doesn't properly remove it when you remove the item. Because since the item is in the mailbox, the game assumes, okay, this is a mail. I have to fill one of the mail slots whenever I equip it. But the ID of that glitched mail is actually not a valid ID for a normal mail item. So when you remove it, the game doesn't call the proper functions to actually remove that mail slot. So it's a very similar process to what we just did with the double battle, but essentially does it again. And the first version of this route didn't know about that, and so we actually had to get 6 Pokemon to activate this glitch, because we only knew about the double battle method, not the mailbox method. But by combining both of them, we can skip one of the Zigzagoons and perform this glitch with only 5 Pokemon in our party.
Yeah, we used to manip an extra Zigzagoon that was chained after the Wingull, but now we can just do 2 Zigzagoons. So a little bit of insider information I just got. So you may be thinking, well, why do we have to go all the way to level 100? Why can't we just get to a high enough level where we one-shot everything and then, save the time of duping and using all the candies? Well, the main reason we're going to do that is because whenever you defeat a Pokemon, it gives you the little animation and text that you gain this much experience. But when you're level 100, you can skip that animation and text box, and that's going to be very much worth it to go all the way to level 100. Give you a little bit of time to perform the manip here. You're going to see something weird in this manip. We still have to wait for the encounter a little bit, so we're going to use the extra time to dupe more candies while we can. Yep.
Yeah, this glitch that you'll see coming up is brand new to this route. This was not used in even the Japanese any % route. This is really brand new in the speedrun. I'm pretty excited to have more than just the candy duplication glitch as part of the route. It's like the duplication glitch. It's a sub glitch of the mail glitch that we set up. So they kind of are extensions of the same thing, but they have very different effects.
Yep. Some very specific menuing here.
should get the proper encounter here.
Nice, nice.
We'll see if we got the Yola Ball. It's a little tricky. We do have a backup Ultra Ball if we need it. Oh boy, okay. Maybe we can get the Ultra Ball. Come on, this would be very nice. I'm very much hoping this gets in. Unlucky.
Unlucky.
We do still have a Pokeball. It's not over yet. Very unlikely for this to get in, though. Yeah, the Yola Ball's not too hard, but under pressure it can be a little tricky. We got one more try.
One more.
This Manip is very punishing if you mess it up, because you do have to spend so much time duping more rare candies. Oh, no.
Oh my goodness. Teased.
Okay, let's try that one more time.
But yeah, now the jig is up, so you've seen the main switch now. It's gonna be a Tentacruel. And we'll explain why we're choosing this Tentacruel over Marshtomp in a second.
That might be the first time that I've missed the Yola Ball in recent attempts.
Of course. That's just how it goes.
The marathon luck, you know. The marathon nerves. But yeah, you might have noticed now that we were able to walk on water. That is the second glitch that we use in this run. Because those tiles seemingly came from nowhere. But when we type in this mail that has a whole bunch of question marks, that's the glitch that we're activating. Man, I don't know. I'm off today. Maybe we can get this Ultra Ball.
Yeah, that's why pickup is nice for the Ultra Ball backup chance at least.
There we go. Okay.
Very nice, very nice. We have our queen.
I'm gonna lie and tell myself and you all that I did that specially for keeping it icy. Oh, we have the bad stats on this one, which is a little bit unfortunate. Could have been that my step count was off, or it could have been a bad frame. So we might struggle a little bit more in the late game, but things will be mostly the same.
Yeah, you'll still blow through pretty much everything until Elite Four around then.
Yep.
So yeah, originally, Epic Dude Guy, I think, leveled up to level 68 instead, but then it was Goddess Maria who made the suggestion to go to level 100 to skip the experience text. So
yeah, way back in the day when he first started to try this, Epic Dude Guy, yeah, he tried a lot of stuff. He even tried using Pelipper, but yeah, Goddess Maria kind of did the math and she found out that level 100 strats were kind of the way to go. And so we've been doing that ever since.
So I guess now, while we're leveling this up to level 100, we can talk a little bit about how we walked on water. So I talked about how if you try to switch an item with the mail when you have all the mail slots filled, and that's kind of what gives the duping effect. But if you try to give a Pokemon a mail when it doesn't have any items, it'll actually open the menu where you select the certain phrases that you want to put on the mail. But since all of the slots are taken, 0 to 5, it defaults to a value instead of 255. So essentially, we would be changing data, which is 250 males worth of data more into memory. And that just happens to be in the middle of the data for the tiles on the current map that you're on. So we can use it to actually corrupt up to 9 tiles in static positions on every map. And that allows us to break through the gate there on the west side of Slateport and walk on water to get this tentacle here.
Yep, exactly. The game really only thought to allocate enough memory for, the 6 males that you would normally be able to equip, but bypassing that means that the game doesn't know where to put any of that information. And as Damon explained, it happens to put that information where you would normally store the maps of the game. So that's how we're able to kind of change some of them to different tiles.
There's a question, how many runnable tennas are there around the target frame? So it's most of the time it's the same tenna. I'm not familiar with the frame window on this version of the manip. But depending on certain factors like step count and things, the second half of the IVs can be different. So we got, lower special attack than usual.
Yep.
So yeah, technically 2 different tentacles, but really one that's generated differently depending on step count and things like that.
Yeah, if you've ever messed around in like RNG Reporter or PokeFinder, you know that there are certain like methods that you can select, and that will change some of the values for each encounter. We don't have a very good understanding of what exactly affects the method in this game. We know that some things definitely do, like how many times you open certain menus, how many steps you have, but essentially we're getting the same tentacle, but some of them are one method and some of them are another method. We happen to get the method with worse special attack, but generally if you do everything correctly up until this point, you can consistently get the better method. There's definitely still research that needs to go into the specifics of what causes a certain method or another method, but that'll definitely be improved in the future.
Yeah, the lower special attack method is still definitely runnable. You can 100% finish the run, no problem with it. You just kind of have to make a note of the fact that you got the lower special attack. But if you did want to go for like an optimal time, it does lose a lot of time compared to the higher special attack.
Yeah, especially on the Elite Four is
that's the
where this method can struggle. But it'll give us a little bit more excitement towards the end of the game.
A little more variation.
Yeah, sometimes this game this route can feel pretty easy just because level 100 does so much stuff very easily, but this will make it a little harder for us.
So
you want to explain that?
The Tenna over Swampert?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the main time save that we get from using Tentacruel over Swampert is actually from the rare candy duplication and usage. So I think each candy takes about 4 seconds to dupe and 3 seconds to use or something like that.
Yep.
So if we wanted to use Swampert for the run, which is what the old route did, then we have to go from level 16 all the way to level 100. Whereas we catch Tentacruel at level 35, so that's 19 fewer candies we have to dupe and use. Of course, there's a lot of time loss that comes with it from having to backtrack and do the manip, but overall it saves time just from the fewer candies alone. And there are also some other small benefits that Tentacruel has, such as clear body and its move coverage.
Yep, if you can imagine, each rare candy taking 7 seconds and we get to save almost 20 of those, that's over 2 minutes right there.
Yep.
So pretty significant, even though you have to do another catch. Still saves at least a minute over the Swampert route.
Yep, so we come back to do Brawly now. We skipped it before because we didn't want to do this gym as a level 15, 16 Pokemon. We'd much rather do it more efficiently as a level 100 Pokemon and save all the turns from that and all the headache. So now we're going to teleport back to Slateport since we took the center. And we'll be on our way to the second rival fight.
Accidentally pressed select there. Don't worry about it. Just a little bit of muscle memory.
Yeah, so one interesting thing is a lot of this routing was actually done on the Japanese version, and then while developing the route and glitch hunting and whatnot, that's when we found out everything worked on English. So one interesting difference between the English route and the Japanese route is that the Japanese route fights Brawly later after Flannery, whereas on the English route we do it right after we get our Tentacruel. And that's mainly because there's another difference between English and Japanese is that some trainers have different vision lengths. So the same trainer will see farther or shorter depending on what version of the game you're playing. So there's one trainer in Rough Turf Tunnel which you cannot skip in Japanese, correct? Make sure
Correct.
I'm not
Unless you go from the left side, which is what we used to do.
Right. But in English, you can bike right past him. So basically, all it adds up to is we save a boat trip going back to Dewford and then Petalburg. Whereas in this, we can just bike straight to Petalburg after we're done with Flannery.
Yeah, so from here on out, it's a lot of execution. You don't have to worry too much about RNG for the next almost hour or so. It's really just execution. How fast can you navigate your menus? How fast can you move is a very big one. How fast can you click the right moves, and so on. There's also, if you've run glitchless in Sapphire or Emerald, you know that there's a manip to catch the legendary at the end of the game. That is not the case in this route, so if you're like me and you hate doing that manip because it's very stressful, you don't have to worry about that in this category, which definitely makes me like it a little bit more.
Yep, so now we have the item, which elevates Gen 3 Ho into its god status, which is the Mach Bike. Get ready to do some movement.
Exactly. The Mach Bike, you can see as we use it, takes a little bit of time to get up to full speed. But once it's at full speed, you're moving, I believe, one tile every 4 frames. So it's very speedy and can be pretty hard to control. But we can use some of that to pass spinners that you would otherwise have to bag manip or pass in a slower way.
Yeah, I guess we can, now that we've got like all the glitch stuff out of the way, we can probably talk a little bit more about the movement in this game and spinners and bag nipping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially, yeah, for those that haven't run a Hoenn game, or a Gen 3 Hoenn game, I guess. There's a lot of specific movements that, yeah, Damon knows a lot about as well.
Right now we're just gonna one-shot all of Watson's gym. If you're a Gen 3 runner, this category is very therapeutic because everything that gives you trouble, usually you just blow right past it. Very nice. But yeah, since there's no real worries at this point in terms of fights, like we mentioned, it's basically just all execution. So this category really is just the execution of Gen 3 Hoenn games concentrated down to its purest form. We have a couple extra manips, and most of your time save is going to come from clean, good movement and execution.
there is still some variance, as we just saw there. 2 critical hits, actually, back to back, which is a 1 in 16 chance every time you use a attacking move. Each of those loses about 2 seconds, and there's really no way to prevent them. You kind of just have to hope that they don't happen. Obviously, it's not as game-losing or game-winning as it can be in glitchless, but it can be annoying, especially when there's so much less variance. Every little time loss can make a difference.
So another thing you might have noticed is that when we were leveling up to level 100, we denied all moves that Tentacruel was trying to learn. Turns out level 100 is pretty good, and we can get by with 10 base power moves like Constrict, and other weak moves like Acid and Bubble Beam.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know all of your Pokemon moves in the entire game, Constrict is a 10 base power normal type move. Not very good, so we will actually replace it later. But being level 100, it can do the job for the mid-game at least.
Yeah, it's interesting to note as well that this Tentacruel is a modest nature, so its Constrict is actually even weaker than you would think. If it was not a modest nature, we might even keep it for a little bit longer, I don't know.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Tentacool levels in that area can have a huge range from like level 5 to 35 or something like that. So getting a Tentacool that is 1 has really good IVs and 2 has a very high level is pretty uncommon, even if you wait for a really long time. This is pretty much the best Tentacool that you're going to be able to get, unless you're making a task and you're able to use like a custom seed or something like that.
Very clean movement, by the way, so far.
It's our 3rd unnecessary crit, I think. Already off to a great start. The observant viewers out there might be seeing that strange item that we still have in our bag. You might have seen that during the rare candy duplication as well. Yeah, Damon, do you want to kind of explain what the heck that is?
Yeah, so there's a weird thing that happens when we do the original glitch of using Thief on a Pokemon that's holding Mail. So it's almost like the Pokemon that was holding Mail still kind of has some of the attributes of the Mail. Like if you try to equip another one, it'll have the same phrases you put on it before. But at the same time, Abra will be holding an item since it used Thief. And that also has some of the data from the Mail. It's kind of weird how it works. But essentially, we call it a glitch mail, and we can remove it from Abra and then send it to the box. And then once we grab it again from the box, it shows up with, just a bunch of question marks as its name. We call it an octomark, but essentially it's just an artifact from the stolen mail being an item in a way that's not being predicted by the game.
Yep, exactly. Every item in the game has a number corresponded to it for its ID. And when you do that glitch mail, as Damon said, the game kind of pulls bad data to get that ID. The ID just happens to be outside of the range of normal items, and whenever it's outside that range, the game doesn't know what the heck to call it, because it gets a number for the ID, and then it says, oh, okay, this is number 23 or whatever. That means this should be a rare candy. But because the ID is not what it's supposed to be, or not something the game would expect, it defaults to those 8 question marks. When you see me kind of getting off the bike and then getting back onto it quickly like that, that's called a run to bike, which you can also see in Emerald runs and Fire Red Leaf Green runs. But that is kind of the fastest way to consistently pass these NPCs without any risk of them seeing you, which is very important for this game.
Yeah, essentially this game has certain trainers which are called spinners. If you've ever played Pokemon, you know exactly what they are. They're trainers that look in different directions, and they'll look at you when you run near them. So we're essentially manipulating them to look in a certain direction, and then we bike past them before they can turn and see us again. We do a similar thing inside buildings where it's called a bag manip, where we'll wait for a trainer to look in a certain direction, and then we'll open the bag to reset their spin timer, so we can safely walk past them without having to fight them.
One thing you'll see here is I'm using acid on this Numel. A big, kind of the biggest problem in this game, once you get level 100, is how do we avoid extra text boxes as much as possible? Which that would include, you know, not doing super effective moves and not doing not very effective moves. However, even at level 20, that Numel is still not guaranteed to die with a Constrict from this Tentacruel, even though we're all the way at level 100. So we go for acid there just for a little bit of safety.
I guess that happens when you're modest and using a 10 base power move.
Yep, we have minus attack nature, 10 base power, no stab. Tentacruel does not have the best base attack either. It's 50 something, I think. Here we get to see something pretty cool. Tentacruel's clear body ability, which prevents any sort of stat drops, which for one skips the animation. You know, you get like a little red effect around your Pokemon when your attack gets dropped, or like green if your defense gets dropped, stuff like that. Clear body completely skips that animation, which is really nice.
Yeah, and that comes up a few times during the run because all of the Magma admins have Mightyena with Intimidate. And it's helpful for Drake as well in the Elite Four.
Yeah, there's quite a few Intimidate users in this game. Yeah, like Damon mentioned, pretty much all the Team Magma grunts lead with a Mightyena. Pretty much all the maxi fights lead with a Mightyena. Sydney in the Elite Four leads with a Mightyena. Drake can use Rock Tomb with Shelgon, which would lower your speed, but you can avoid that. And then his Salamence also has Intimidate. So there's quite a few times where it makes a difference.
Yeah, even without Clear Body, Tentacruel would still be really good just because it's so much of a higher level and we don't have to spend as much time on candies, but Clear Body is just such like an extra cool little perk that it gets.
Yep, it's a cool little cherry on top, something that you wouldn't really see in any other category in this generation.
Is Garbage Salamence lag still a thing with Clear Body? I'm not sure. I haven't really paid attention to that. That's a good question.
One thing to note, just because this route used to be assumed to be Japanese only, and Damon has a lot of experience with this because he runs on Japanese. Pretty much all the trainers have different natures in the Japanese version of the game. That Torkoal would not be guaranteed to die to acid if you were playing on the Japanese version. But in the English version, it does not have a plus defense nature, so we can just acid it. and prevent getting that super effective text box, or avoid getting that text box.
Yep, exactly. I forget the exact reason the natures are different, but it's something strange like the natures are like generated based on characters in the game, so because the characters are different, the natures end up being different. I don't know. It's something weird like that.
That is news to me. I did not know that.
Maybe someone in the chat can clarify or correct me, but...
Okay, I need to remember not to bike past the hiker, which I did yesterday on a PB pace. There's definitely potential to mix up your glitchless and glitched muscle memory, because there are a lot of things that are similar, but have some small yet important differences. So you gotta be pretty alert.
So now we have the first 4 gyms, so now we're biking home to fight our dad.
Like here, for example, in glitchless, we want to get strength before we go and fight Archie 2, or Archie 1, or in this case, Maxi 1. But we don't really need that, because we have Constrict, the superior normal type move.
Clearly the superior
so,
option.
Yeah, we get to save that for right now.
But yeah, in the Japanese version, you wouldn't be able to go through that tunnel without fighting that hiker, so...
Yep, that hiker has an extra tile of vision for whatever reason in Japanese. Small benefit of fighting Winston, we just get to zoom past him. Unlike glitchless, where you'd have to bag manip him a couple times.
Like we got some Ruby Sapphire versus Emerald beef in the chat.
I will refrain from saying anything to be
I will also hold my tongue.
As a representative of the PSR marathon, I will try to stay objective for now. But yeah, after a long day of running glitchless, this category is pretty therapeutic. For me, at least, you get to practice your manip timings, which is always a good idea. And then it's very satisfying to just go through all these fights, one-shot everything on Flannery, never get body slam paralyzed, never get attract, never miss a mud shot. It's a lot of fun, honestly.
Yeah, that's another good point. This category in general is great practice for glitchless. Like we mentioned before, there are a lot of differences with menus that could maybe mess up your muscle memory, but most of the mock biking is pretty much the same, especially in late game. With all the variants that you run into with glitchless, you might get to practice late game movement in an actual run, like maybe once a week or something. But with this category, once you get past Tenna, it's smooth sailing and very easy to finish runs.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah, the practice is definitely very valuable. Yeah, good question in the chat. This doesn't have to be played on the Ruby version. It's just Ruby is maybe, 20 seconds faster or so. We haven't timed it out specifically. Ruby is just a little bit faster. But everything works the same in Sapphire. Even the manips work the same, actually.
Yep.
So if you wanted to, if you don't have Ruby, which I know a lot of the glitchless runners might not have, you can totally do this on Sapphire as well. It's all the same, you just might have to click some different moves on the Carvanas instead of the Numels, because you don't want to get rough skin text.
Yeah, so I guess we could talk about that now. After we beat Norman here, we're going to get the TM for Facade, which we routed in for the primary purpose of saving the text boxes, like we mentioned before. Very low variance in this section of the run after Tentacruel. So we want to really save as many text boxes as possible. You can actually beat the game just fine without Facade, but you end up having to do a lot of things like using Surf on Altaria or using Acid on Numels, and all those super effective, not very text boxes add up very quickly. So we have Facade just have a stronger neutral move on those kinds of Pokemon, stronger than Constrict at least. So we end up saving, in English, it's about 7 seconds by teaching Facade over not teaching it.
Yep, and that might actually be a small benefit to Sapphire. So it might actually be less time saved than we think, less time lost than we think. Just because you can hit the Carvanas, for example, with Acid and not do any extra text boxes, whereas the Numels resist Acid. Same with Camerupt, which can be kind of annoying, so we have to use Facade.
Yeah, so if you put on Sapphire, you can pretty much skip teaching Facade. I don't think we have it exactly routed out, but it shouldn't be hard to keep track of what you need to Acid. And the one thing that is nice about having Facade, though, is that it gives you an extra 20 PP in your moveset. Without it, the PP management is a little bit tight. You're still able to get through everything, but you may run into trouble in endgame based on how many ranges you hit and whatnot in endgame. And it can be a little nerve-wracking, but Facade pretty much alleviates all those issues. It has 20 PP, and we're just going to be spamming it a bunch through the mid-game while keeping our Surf count pretty high.
Okay, lots of teaching moves, lots of menuing there, but now we're good.
For some reason, our Zigzagoons don't learn Strength.
Yeah, but they learned Blizzard, which
But
I
they
learned
Blizzard,
yesterday.
they can summon hailstorms, but they can't push a boulder. Yeah, it would be faster to teach Strength to Zigzagoon if possible, because you don't have to teach it over anything like you have to do with Marshtomp. You just teach it and it learns it. But alas, we're able to do it with Rock Smash at least. Extra full heal for safety.
Yep, just for the sake of the run.
Yep.
Oh, that's actually... I did not know that would happen. Repel Warhour, you need some speed to go up those slopes, so I had to do a little bit of a back and forth to do that. That was unexpected. So yeah, all these Numels, this is where Facade really saves a lot of time. These will not die to Constrict, even though we have, you know, a 72 level difference. Constrict is just that bad. Tentacruel really just isn't that physically strong. Yeah, Modest doesn't help either.
Yeah, instead we'd have to use Acid or Acid, which is not very effective, or Bubble Beam, which is super effective.
Yep.
Again, time loss.
This morning I put out a sort of a beginner comprehensive guide for this route. If anyone out there is interested in learning it, I'm trying my best to write it in a way that doesn't require glitchless knowledge, so I'm trying to kind of write it from the ground up in case people want to get into it but aren't interested as much in glitchless. If there's interest in Sapphire specifically, I can also do that as well.
Yeah, I actually just saw that before the marathon started. It's like formatted all super nice, you know, very beginner friendly. So if you're interested, definitely give it a look.
Yeah, it's definitely still a work in progress, but I will try to make it as clean as possible within the next week or so. Thank you very much, Joanna, for the excellent copy pasta. But yeah, thank you. Oops, I double talked to him. Just not paying attention. So yeah, one sad part about this run maybe, especially for any Emerald enjoyers out there, we do not get cast form. We just simply do not have room in our party.
Oh no.
It's a very sad day.
crying in the club right now. So yeah, on this fight, this is not really anything to talk about, but you get to facade it 3 times. Without facade, you would have to use some more, you would have to get some more text boxes by using acid on some of these folks.
Yep. Grovile specifically would not die to Constrict.
But now we just get to spam A.
Yep. Very fun, mashing buttons. If you were paying really close attention all the way back in Rival 2, almost 30 minutes ago, we clicked acid on that Grovile because Constrict will not kill that Grovile. It's an 11 out of 16 range, so if you're lucky, you can save a text box. But I did not take the risk on this run. Because if you miss it, it saves, or it loses quite a bit of time if you miss it.
Yeah, we do also have Wrap as an option in our moveset before we teach Surf over it, but I think it's 85% accurate, and pretty much it has double the base power of Constrict, whopping 20, which actually will let you kill a lot of stuff.
Is it 20? I thought it was 15 for some reason, but you might be right.
It's 20. We can double check, but point is, it lets you kill a lot of stuff that Constrict doesn't quite kill, but it's 85% accurate, and most things you want to use on it will do bad things back to you if you miss, like getting burned by Numal Ember or something like that, which would waste a lot of time in this category.
Yep. If you're going for, you know, a 151, maybe a 150 in this category, those might be the sort of risks that you that you would take.
The Wrap top end strats.
Yep. For the sake of this run, though, we'll avoid that.
Okay, so one reason I'm very sad that English is a thing is that on Japanese, there's a very, very cool run-to-bike, double turn frame cancel run-to-bike that you do to avoid a trainer on this route. But you don't have to do it on English because of trainer site differences. But yeah, still very impressive movement on this route nonetheless.
Yeah, that double run-to-bike strat that you guys found might be the most impressive spinner pass I've seen in any Pokemon game. So if you want to, if you really want to try that, you would have to do it on the Japanese version if you want to save time with it.
Alright, so now we're in Mount Pyre. Need to take care of Team Magma because they're doing some bad things, I guess. I guess while we're in this section, there's not too much to talk about until we get to Winona. Even in Winona, there's not much to talk about, but we can talk about tile corruption, maybe?
Yeah, or I was going to say you could talk about that specifically with land surfing, which could have been used on Winona, almost.
True, yeah. So so we talked about, you saw in the Tentacle Manip, we had some tiles changed from the mail glitch. So you may be thinking, well, if you can change tiles, then you can just kind of like go anywhere, skip anything, right? Unfortunately, that's not the case. For every single map, the tiles are in a set, 9 tiles in a horizontal row. And with the current knowledge we have, we think it's impossible to change which tiles we can corrupt. But with the tiles you can corrupt, you can do some very interesting things. You can spawn a water tile and then surf on land. You can enter random secret bases and fight glitch trainers inside of secret bases. You can walk into the void in certain spots. You can walk into walls in certain spots. Just none of these are really useful for the speedrun in the current spot where we can corrupt tiles. But I did mention before there is something called land surfing, which you can do without tile corruption in Japanese. But with tile corruption, you can do it on English as well. It's exactly what it sounds like. You're just on your little surfing animation, but you're not on water. Instead, you're on the land. And that actually has some interesting properties. So the way that the game can tell whether or not to take you off of your little surfer Pokemon is if you're surfing, you're currently surfing, and then you hit a tile that's walkable and is on a different elevation than the tile you're currently on, then it'll plop you off and make you start walking again. So one place this works is on bridges. So if you're surfing on land and then you cross onto a bridge, you're on a higher elevation. And then if you hop off the top of the bridge, it'll put you down in front of the bridge like you're hopping on land from water. So this bridge right below Winona's gym here, you'll be able to see for a second. You can actually land surf and then hop off of that bridge to access Winona's gym early before getting the Deafened Scope, which is a pretty cool thing. It's not super useful for the speedrun since we have to get the Deafened Scope anyway and go past it and do a bunch of things, but that is something that you can do on your cartridge if you wanted to.
Yep, it's a very small sequence break, but I would consider it a sequence break.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily faster, but it does look pretty funny. On the current pace we're at, we should be about, let's see here. I'm trying to do mental math. We should be about 45 minutes away from the end, give or take. If time allows, depending on how fast or slow the rest of this run goes, I might spend like 2 quick minutes in the post game just to show off a cool little side glitch that might be kind of interesting. But if we're a little short on time, we can skip that as well.
Yeah, we've done a lot of digging with the glitches in this game, particularly tile corruption, to see if it's useful anywhere. And while we haven't found much useful for a speedrun outside of, manipulating this Tentacruel, we still have found a lot of really cool stuff that we never thought was possible in this game. So yeah, if we don't get time to show off all of it after the run, then you can always hit up me or BluMagma, and we can share some of that with you, or just catch one of BluMagma's streams.
Yep, definitely. In the guide that I mentioned earlier, which is now available on speedrun.com, just look for Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. Unfortunate protect there, by the way. There's some things that level 100s still cannot do, and that is hitting through protect.
And you get the crit, nice.
Yep, ultimate time loss there.
Yeah, so there is still some variance with Pokemon using Protect or priority moves and whatnot.
Yep.
So.
But yeah, what was I saying? Oh, if you're interested in the other glitches that we've discovered recently, there's a couple places you can go. I have some links in that guide that I mentioned on the speedrun.com page. So you can check that out and click some of the links, or you can join the Pokemon Speedrunning Gen 1 through 3 Discord. We now have our official sub-channel just for Ruby and Sapphire glitched runs, and there's a lot of information there as well. If you have any questions, or if you want to learn more about some of the glitches that aren't used in this current route, but you think that you might have some interesting ideas on how to use them, we'd definitely be more than happy to hear out those ideas in the Discord.
Yeah, again, this category is still very, very much in its infancy. A lot of the knowledge we have now, we didn't know like 2 or 3 months ago. So there's definitely still room for this category to grow.
Yep, I think we mentioned this a little bit earlier. Right now, I would say that like a really good run could probably be about 5 minutes faster than the glitchless route, like a really good run on the glitchless route. But obviously the goal is to, widen that gap as much as possible. Shaving minutes wherever possible would be really, really cool. It's a big goal of mine, and I've been putting a lot of time into trying to research more glitches, find ways that they might be useful in the run.
I've woken up to a lot of 2 a.m. Discord messages with new discoveries. But yeah, if you're familiar with Sapphire, this place might look a little unfamiliar to you. Instead of the Aqua hideout here, we have the Magma hideout, which is also on the water for some reason, but it's a completely different layout from the Aqua hideout. There is one trainer here that we passed that is a required fight on Japanese for whatever reason. She has way more vision on Japanese.
Yeah, and that's actually, at first we thought that was only the case in Ruby. So we were like, oh, maybe Sapphire is actually faster, but it just happens to be the case that in the Japanese version, there is another mandatory trainer in both Ruby and Sapphire in this hideout, not just the admin. More uses of that clear body ability. Very
Can't get enough of
satisfying.
it.
I get the max elixir here. In glitchless, you're a little bit more strapped for moves, so you pick up both an ether and a max ether throughout the run. But we have quite a good amount of PP to work with in this route, so we can just get the singular max elixir and be good for the entire game.
Super repelled on a very specific tile there to set up a repel stop right in front of a door we have to enter if movement goes well. It'll look pretty cool if we get it.
Oh boy, pressure's on.
Yep.
Shoot, 2 extra steps, very close.
Very close.
So normally you would stop right in front of the door with the repel, and then you don't have to go through that process of recelerating or re-accelerating with the Mach Bike. So you just go right in the door. It's a little tricky though. It's a little tricky to get exactly the movement you want, because like we said, you're moving you're moving a tile every 4 frames. So pretty small window to actually turn.
And just for reference, running is 8 frames for 1 tile, and walking is 16 frames for 1 tile.
Yep.
So Mach Bike is very fast.
Yeah, twice as fast as running, 4 times faster than walking. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Here we're at Tate and Liza in glitchless, notorious for being, one of the most complex fights in the entire run. A lot of branching paths, a lot of things you have to consider. Really just a very difficult to play fight, very difficult to do optimally, for sure. So this version, glitched, just gets to turn the brain off, mash A, and win the fight in a single turn.
So funny story, on my PB before my current PB, I was actually too mindless and actually mashed A on this fight instead of clicking surf in the bottom right. It wasted so much time.
Very, very interesting mistake. I'm pretty sure even with the lower special attack that we have, I'm pretty sure this will still one-shot both of them. When we, a little bit earlier before Winona, when we used teleport, you saw us swap Marshtomp and Abra. That actually does save a couple seconds. The reason for that is because Abra gets so much experience within this fight, just because it's like level 8 and you are killing level 42 Pokemon. So that does save a couple seconds just because you get so many level ups, and each of those level ups take quite a while. Whereas Marshtomp only gets 2. I think Abra gets like 5, maybe.
Yeah, like 5 or 6 or something stupid like that.
I am really tempted to show off a water biking here, but I don't know how the repel will work out. And we're kind of barely on sub 2 pace, so I'm gonna try to play optimally. Kind of the inverse of land surfing that Damon talked about earlier. It's essentially the same as what we did for the Tentacruel manip, where you can walk out on water without using surf. While you're on the water, you can also use the bike if you have it. We didn't have it during the Tentacle manip, but in Moss Deep, there's actually a very convenient location to tile corrupt and walk out on the water, and then you could actually bike here instead of just surfing here. And you can actually dive while you're on the bike, so it's not like you would be stuck on the water. You can actually go down and dive, just like you would be surfing. Unfortunately, and I promise, I tried very hard. I like went frame by frame. I could not find a way to make it actually faster for the route. It's very close. It's like 2 seconds slower. But I really hope that someday we find something that would allow that to be faster.
Yeah, I remember we were like on your stream, like testing it meticulously. Like it was like, okay, we have to get the glitch first try and bike perfectly. Like, is it faster? We're barely slower to bike to Sutopolis.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's also another way of activating water biking, which Amoeba mentioned in chat. If you press B frame perfectly as you enter a doorway underwater, you can actually resurface like in the middle of the doorway. And in specific spots, it will actually put you in the middle of a rock, which will put you in the walking state instead of the surfing state. We tried that as well, but for one, it's frame perfect, so it'd be very hard to go for in an actual run. It's also a little bit slower as far as we could tell. But it does look pretty funny. Another good question is, does the tile corruption stay there like permanently? It does not, which kind of limits what we can do. The game only really loads the tiles for the map that you're currently in. And kind of like surrounding it if you're kind of like at the border between two maps. But the game will reload that data as soon as you leave and re-enter whichever area you corrupted. There are some small exceptions to that rule. For example, if a tile corruption happens like on the border of 2 routes, for example, that can happen on Route 113, I believe. You can leave Route 113 and go to Route 111, and some of the tiles from Route 113 will still be there, as long as you don't go too far out of the way and deload them.
Yep. Yeah, if we could even have just a little bit of control of where we can corrupt the tiles, or which tiles we can actually corrupt, this game truly would be like blown wide open, because so many of the locations where the corrupted tiles are, they're like 1 or 2 tiles away from being able to sequence break or skip something. So yeah, that would be like the holy grail, is controllable tile corruption, but unfortunately we just don't think it's possible with our current knowledge.
Yep. Should I bring up Victory Road skip, or
I mean,
do you
you
want
might
to
as
save
well.
that for later?
Might as well.
If you want to go into detail on that, feel free.
Sure. So we kind of mentioned before how tile corruption will let you change certain tiles to pretty much any other kind of tile we want, and that allows us to do things like surf on land. And we also mentioned before how if you are surfing on land, you can hop off bridges to maybe get places you can't get before. Um, so there is a certain bridge in the very first room of Victory Road, um, where if you were able to hop off of it using land surfing, then you would be able to skip basically the entirety of Victory Road. It'll lead straight to the Wally fight, and then right after the Wally fight is the exit of Victory Road. So we checked to see if we could tile corrupt in that room, and unfortunately the tiles are one tile too far to the right inside the wall. Um, if it was one more to the left, then we would be able to set up land surfing inside Victory Road and save like 3 minutes. But unfortunately, it just wasn't in the stars, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, it was. I remember just being in that voice chat. We were like frantically trying to come up with ideas for like what can we do with this. And Damon's like, wait, what about this? And we were like, oh my gosh, it's gonna work, isn't it? And then we like finally get to Victory Road and we try it, and we're like, oh my god, it's one tile too far away for us to reach without like
Yeah,
hacks or something like that.
very sad moment. Another place that tile corruption could possibly be useful if it were a little bit, tile shifted to the left or right is we would be able to skip this cutscene with Steven. You might be able to like bike over the walls and not have to go up here and talk to Steven and just walk into the Cave of Origin. But I think the old guy would still be blocking the way, so maybe not. But there's just a lot of stuff like that where it's like one or two tiles close from skipping a cutscene or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely makes me think that there's still things to be found in this game, just because of how close we are to certain skips and certain time saves. Definitely gives me hope for the future of this category, but it takes a long time. It's a lot of work to find new glitches, for sure.
We got some fancy bike movement in the dark here.
That might
Hello,
be
Gradon.
the fastest I've done at last room, at least until waterfall. That's pretty good. Yeah, we get to see Groudon for any of the Gen 3 runners. You know that Sapphire is traditionally thought to be faster thanks to Kyogre. So we never get to see this guy. But today we do.
In case any of you forgot what the sprite looked like, there you go.
Yeah, it might have been 20 years since some of y'all have seen that.
So I'm not sure about the English records, but something interesting to note is that for the Japanese records, the glitched record only catches up to the glitchless record on this split in Wallace's gym. Or I think it's before you leave Cave of Origin is when it actually passes it. We take so much time to like set up the glitch, get the candies, do the manips, get Tentacruel, level it up, and this whole time we're slowly but surely catching back up to glitchless. And in Japanese at least, this is where we actually pass glitchless.
Yeah, I think in English it might be around Tate and Liza, but I know you're still at least a few minutes behind around the Norman split. So you really just save so much time throughout the run, even though it takes so much time to actually set up level 100 and actually activate all the glitches and stuff.
Yep. And Tentacruel flies through endgame way faster than Kyogre as well. Obviously, we don't have to do an extra save and quit to manip it, and there's no drizzle text, a lot less setup, so Yeah, turns out level 100 is good.
So I don't think I've run this on English with the worst stats, so I'm not entirely sure what things would be ranges and what things would not be.
We're gonna have some fun.
We might be in for a little bit of a surprise.
We're gonna have some fun.
Things might live when we expect them not to, but we'll see.
Did you already max elixir?
I did, yes. Might not have been the best idea. Okay,
That
that
might be interesting,
it was something I expected to live. I'll probably buy full restores and heal at the Elite Four, so it should be okay. We have extracts specials as well if we need them.
That's true. Yeah, this is the first fight where like anything can really go wrong with Tentacruel. There's no way for Tentacruel to OHKO this Milotic. So we give it a turn to possibly freeze us with Ice Beam or confuse us with Water Pulse.
Yep. Like that.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh my god. It's my glitchless run all over again.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything, but didn't want to bring it up.
Hope that's not heal range.
I feel like it might be.
Oh, barely. This might have killed our sub 2 pace, but we are still on pace for underestimate. Very unlucky there, yeah. Very unlucky fight.
Time to grab the person.
Yeah, it seems like, for me at least, I should just never heal on this because it will always recover on me and troll me. I just need to YOLO the confusion.
And now we're off to Victory Road. So another thing that's kind of considered one of our holy grails of glitches that we want to find is the Evergrande Waterfall skip. If we could somehow use tile corruption or find some sort of wrong warp to skip this big waterfall, then we would be able to skip basically the entire third act of the game. We would be able to skip getting dive and waterfall, fighting, you know, those gyms. We would basically go from the magma hideout straight to the Elite Four if we could skip this waterfall.
Yep, exactly. That would be like the game changer, like the potential sub 1 hour glitch if we were to find something like that. You cannot bike up the waterfall, you can't run up the waterfall, at least with any methods that we've tried. You also cannot use waterfall unless you are on the, like, in the surfing mode. So one thing that we tried was doing the water biking to the waterfall after we fly back to Moss Deep, which might actually be faster, but you cannot actually use waterfall while you're on the bike. So you would have to use dive, then come back up so that you're actually surfing normally again, and then you would have to use waterfall, which that just loses too much time to make it any faster than just surfing normally. Yep.
And you may be thinking, well, even if you skip the big waterfall, isn't there one more mandatory waterfall inside Victory Road? Yes, but we can actually skip that with tile corruption. It's just, again, not faster in a normal speedrun setting, but in a scenario where we don't have waterfall and we would need to skip it, we do have the ability to do that. So if we could skip the big waterfall, we could also skip the small one if needed.
And again, just having any control over where the corrupted tiles actually go is the thing we desperately need, but do not have. Yeah, which definitely limits our opportunities.
But for now, we get to see the clean victory road movement in the dark.
Not my best performance, but definitely has been worse in the past.
This Ninetales can quick attack you. I'm pretty sure it always quick attacks you, actually.
I saw no quick attack yesterday.
Okay, then I think it's heavily favored to quick attack you. Oh, there you go.
Very nice. Yeah, I think it likes to use quick attack, which obviously is slower. So there's still some small variants with stuff like that, and with detect or protect, like we saw in Pelipper.
Yeah, we'll probably see some of that variance in Sydney as well.
Yes.
Sydney has a Shift Tree, which can use Fake Out, and an Absol, which can use Snatch. Both of which are priority moves, which is just simply time loss.
I forget exactly what the Ninetales has, but it has Quick Attack. Missed my tile there. But it has Quick Attack. I think it has, Confuse Ray as well. Maybe something else, Safeguard or something.
So upcoming, this Altaria will definitely not die to Surf on one.
Yes, I will probably just do double Acid to save the text boxes.
Yeah.
This Altaria, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is where having the bad stats, the bad special attack, really starts to come into play. If you have the normal good special attack, Tentacruel, it has like 217 or something special attack. This Altaria is a 5 and 16 to die to Surf, but we have like 180 or something like that, so we have to Acid it instead.
Yep, exactly.
All this business.
Oh, is that gonna die? Yeah, that should die. I think.
You got the defense drop, right? Yeah, it'll die.
Oh, true. I forgot about that. Yeah. Time loss, but... So yeah, even at level 100, you really cannot OHKO everything.
Yeah. Bubble Beam still killed nice. The range. I think that's you got lucky with the range on Bubble Beam Garden War.
Oh yeah, that might be a range on English as well, with the bad stats. We did save a Surf here though, so I probably could have just surfed that. You can get Sludge Bomb in this game, if you're wondering why we're still using Acid. It's a good question. However, you have to go pretty far out of your way. It's in Dewford, and it's only accessible after you beat Norman. So you'd have to fly back to Dewford or something like that.
So you're getting some full restores for safety, especially since we have the worst stats. And one thing you may note here that's different from Glitchless is that we're not depositing our party members because they still have all the mail equipped from when we set up the glitch. And before you can deposit Pokemon in the PC, you actually have to take off the mail in the party first. And doing that for all the team members would just take a lot of time, so it's faster to just go in and have them entered in the Hall of Fame as well.
Yep, I think it saves like a few seconds in Glitchless, but having to unequip all those mails would just take a really long time.
So on the Elite Four, most of it is pretty free, but we might run into some issues with our low special attack.
Yeah, Sydney and Phoebe should both be fine for the most part, except for maybe Sharpedo. And maybe one of the Dusclops. Glacia is where things get kind of sketchy, and maybe Steven as well.
Yeah. I forget what dies and what doesn't with the low special attack.
Yeah, and it might be different for you on Japanese as well.
Yeah. You might have to like acid Credilli or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, I figured that might not die. That's annoying.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay, I'm glad I bought full restores.
Yeah,
that'll die to acid now, though. With the +2.
There you go.
Yeah, normally saving a text box on this thing is very difficult because waterfall makes contact and is not very effective. Surf is not very effective. Bubble Beam is not very effective. So really your only move is acid to hit it without rough skin and without not very effective text. But the range is actually a 50-50 to one shot. So it is pretty risky. And yeah, as you can see, you can get swaggered if you don't get the range.
We have Phoebe, which is pretty much just spam A, the fight. Like we mentioned, since we have the lower special attack, one of these Dusclops might live. Not really sure what it can do back to you, maybe hit you with a Shadow Ball or Confuse Ray or something.
Yeah, this one has Curse, but this one has lower special defense, so that one should always die, even with bad special attack. Yeah, we did look into getting Mystic Water, which could maybe save a turn on some of these Elite Four fights, maybe 1 or 2 turns. But having to go out of your way to deposit something is just kind of a pain. Just because you have to unequip the mail from something. And you need Abra for teleport, you need Wingle, and you need Marshtomp for your HMs and stuff. So you would have to deposit one of the Zigzagoons, which is always going to be holding a mail.
I think you might just be able to move the item from the PC, right? But even then, you would have to save
that's
like...
true. That's true.
Even then, you would have to save like 2 turns or something for it to be worth it. An extra trip to the PC.
Well, Castorm doesn't even go into your PC, actually. That might be different in Emerald. I think it is different in Emerald.
Oh, yeah, that's
I know
true.
me and Wave Warrior.
They don't even give it to you in this game.
Yeah, he just says, "Oh, sorry, you don't have room for this."
Then, yeah,
so
absolutely.
you would actually have to make room for it.
Yeah, absolutely not worth it. That's right. Anyways, here's the actual final boss of the game.
Yep.
Alicia. We have to set up twice on her, and she can paralyze us with Body Slam, and her Celios can also use Hail, or one of them can use Hail, which wastes a lot of time.
Oh boy. It begins. Hopefully we don't need more than 18 full restores. Okay.
Yeah, usually if you're going for like an optimal run, you just don't buy full restores. So you either have 1 full restore that you pick up before Rival 2, and then maybe a lucky full restore that you get from pickup, and that's it. That's all you have for healing.
Yep.
So this fight is definitely scary if you're in that situation.
Yeah, and if you get trolled like I did by my Lodic, you might actually have to use one of them even earlier, which can be problematic.
So there is still some risk in the end game, even though we're level 100. We still got to keep things a little bit exciting.
Yep. Yeah, if choice specs existed in this game, that would be very cool, which, minor spoilers for one of the other races later. I won't say which one, but you might see a lot of parallels between this run and one of the runs later on. I'll let you all guess which one that might be. But it's a very cool run. Definitely stick around to check that one out.
All right, we're through Glacia. I think you surf the Salamence. I think it might not die, or it's a range.
The Salamence might be a range at +2, yeah.
Yeah.
Should be okay though. I highly doubt it can one-shot us.
Yeah. And you haven't taken a lot of damage, so there's really no issue.
And here we get to see a unique benefit of Clear Body. Even though he hits Rock Tomb, we don't get any extra text boxes, we don't get any animations, and our speed doesn't actually fall, which at -2, Salamence would actually outspeed you, even though you're a Tentacruel at level 100. So it does actually make a pretty big difference for this fight.
Emerald runners are foaming at the mouth at this information. Do you have extra X-Specs?
I do, yeah.
I feel like
X-Specking turn 1 might be the play on Steven.
Yeah, I was about to say, you might just sweep, and I don't think Skarmory can do anything to you.
Oh yeah, it can't even Toxic.
Yeah.
Another benefit of Tentacruel, okay, we crit, might have mattered. Yeah, another benefit is this cannot get Toxic as it's Poison type.
But yeah, with good enough special attack, we didn't have to set up on Steven most of the time anyways. But
yep. Yeah,
for this situation, it is nice.
That's a very good point. In the old Swampert route, you actually had to use an X special on Steven on his Skarmory turn 1 to sweep the rest of the fight, which is kind of annoying because generally you're going in at level 100, you're going to have such high HP that the Skarmory is really going to want to Toxic you. And then you have to spend a whole nother turn healing that. And Swampert's not immune to Toxic. So we can't really avoid that. But with Tentacruel, it's no problem at all. Even though we have the bad stats, we can just do this. It's never going to be able to Toxic us. And if you get the correct stats for the Tentacruel, you actually don't have to set up at all in this fight. You literally just click Surf 6 times. There's no ranges. You win every time as long as you don't accidentally click the wrong move. So Tentacruel does actually have some benefits for the Elite Four compared to Swampert.
And they should be GG.
That should be the game. Nothing else can kill us. As long as I shouldn't even say anything. I don't want to jinx it. This Cradily is like the one thing that could live.
Yeah, possibly.
That would probably not die if I had an X-Spect, just because we don't have the higher stats that we normally would. But that's Underestimate, so
Underestimate, let's
I will
go.
take that. First run of the marathon, Underestimate. Off to a good start.
Yep.
Definitely wanted to hit the sub 2. A little bit disappointed about that. And we definitely could have if we got a little bit better of a start. We reset way too many times trying to get the Mudkip. But still very happy with this. I hope you all enjoyed. Thanks for all the GGs. Really means a lot to me.
All in all, a very clean run, no optionals. Pretty solid movement throughout the whole thing. So I think this was a really good showcase for this category. We've now unleashed it into the world.
Yes, if anybody wants to try this route or this run in general is like my baby. I've been working quite a lot on this over the past few months. So if anybody wants to try it out, I would be ecstatic. I would be more than happy to help with any questions you might have. It was really fun to develop all this. Yeah, it was great. And then time will be pretty soon.
at the fade out after Hall of Fame, after we save.
Yep. Time will be right now. Or I might have said that a little early, but...
GG's, congratulations. Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Again, if you have any interest in this run, definitely reach out to BluMagma or myself for keeping it icy. And pretty much, I think we're all in like the Gen 1 through 3 Discord. If you have any interest or any ideas, yeah, just reach out to us.
Yep, definitely. Just some quick shout outs. Huge thank you to Damon for commentating this, as well as doing a ton of research into these glitches. He helped a ton, finding all this stuff, optimizing the route. He also reads Japanese, which when we were still doing all this research on the Japanese version was a huge help because I do not know any Japanese. That made things a lot easier. Yeah, he's put a ton of work into this as well. Shout outs to Keeping It Icy. We wanted to have him on commentary today, but he was busy. But he also put a lot of work into this, found some cool strats and optimizations. Shout outs to Goddess Maria for looking into kind of the task applications of this. She's been working on finding better manips, faster manips for this category. Let's see, shout outs to Epic Dude Guy, the guy that first originally ran glitched way back when on the Japanese version. He kind of inspired me to, I wanted to take his record, and then that got me hooked, got me interested in finding new strats. So that's kind of why we're here today. It's because I wanted to see what more could be done. Huge thanks to all the people in the Gens 1 through 3 speedrunning Discord server for making this an official category. It's on speedrun.com now, giving us our own little channel in the Discord server. It's really means a lot to see us have our own little name there. Yeah, thanks so much everybody for being here. Thanks for all the GGs. Thanks for watching. Okay, I'm gonna do a quick little skip of the credits. I know some of you might be mad at me. And if I forgot to shout out anybody else, I apologize. There's a ton of people that helped with this stuff. Anybody that helped or came up with any ideas, thank you very much for all the help. It really means a lot to me. This glitch will take like 1 minute, so I wanted to reset the credits just so we don't have to go over estimate. I know, I'm very sorry that you guys don't get to see that. What's the fastest way to go there? I guess this way.
Which one are we doing?
I'm doing the glitch trainer. So there is a secret Pokemon in this game that you may never have seen before. Oh, and up next is Amoeba doing glitchless. Is that right? So check that out.
Pinball, right? He's doing pinball.
Oh, pinball, that's right. Pinball. So stay tuned for pinball if you want to see that. That is a very cool side game. Oh, the layout got changed a little bit. Sorry for the confusion. Okay, so I know we actually get secret power, which anybody that's run soft lock % might know this. Okay, the process for this. Let me make sure I actually follow the correct process because it's been a while. So this combines tile corruption with kind of a weird glitch involving secret bases, which I will show off real quick. Okay. Luckily, we still have our Abra, so we can do this. And we're gonna do... So each word or phrase actually corresponds to a specific tile. So we're going to use huge power to spawn a secret base tile, which we can enter. I'm going to pack up. Then I'm going to do it again. This only works in the post game, which you'll see later. There he is. All right. So this is the secret 203rd Pokemon, I think. I forget how many are in this game. You can actually battle him. And we'll see what exactly happens.
So Emerald has Steven as a secret final boss. This is Ruby Sapphire's secret final boss. Youngster.
Ta-da!
You all thought Missing No was just Gen
1. This is the question mark. The reason this works is because this game has a feature where you can like share your secret base with other real-life people with the link cable, and you can actually like share your team, and then your friends can like fight against your team. But by doing this, we trick the game into thinking that this is somebody else's secret base. But there's no data associated with it because we didn't actually do it properly. So the game has zero data for what the trainer actually has. I'll try attacking it. It does take damage, and then it faints. His name is just Youngster. You get $0. You would normally get 1 XP, but we're level 100. Yeah. So that's the secret trainer, the secret glitch trainer in this game. Doesn't really do anything, but it's kind of funny. But yeah, that is all I have for you all today. I hope you enjoyed very much. Again, huge shout outs to everybody for helping. Thanks very much, Damon, for being on commentary. It was a blast. Thanks for all
thanks for having me.
Thanks for all the setup people on the PSRM team, getting everything working properly. It went very well. And yeah, that's it for me. Thanks, everybody. If you have any questions about this run, if you want to learn more about the glitches, reach out to me or join the Gen 1 through 3 Discord to try that out if you want to try out this run, or if you want to do some glitch hunting of your own.